Alright, this video is going to clarify your responsibilities for your first paper for this course. It's the critical analysis paper, which will require you to do an external, well, not external, I'm going to post it with the assignment, to complete a reading and then perform critical analysis of that reading using one of the critical approaches from that handout that I posted a couple of days ago. So I'm going to go through the rubric really quickly, and then I'm going to talk about applying the critical approaches in a little bit greater detail. So here goes. When you perform critical analysis for the paper that you're writing, excuse me, the first thing that you should do is select a critical approach from that list that you have. That critical approach is sort of the filter through which you will view the reading as you complete the reading. Now, for some of you that may be very easy. For others, you may need to do the reading first, then go back to the list and select a critical approach that you feel comfortable applying. Either way works, but if you already have one in mind, that might help you look for elements of the reading that will support your claim and argument. So we will be working on the reading Harrison Bergeron by Kurt Vonnegut. This reading is fairly short, but it includes lots and lots of themes. One of the great things about this reading is that it's very ambiguous, so you really can't state definitively that Kurt Vonnegut's sympathies lie in one direction or another. So while that might be a little bit frustrating, it's also very helpful to the author of a paper because it allows you to make claims and then support them, and via critical analysis it becomes very easy to turn it into a discussion of whatever you got from the reading instead of sort of regurgitating what everybody already knows. Say, if we were to read a writing by Hitler, we already know he's in favor of genocide and authoritarianism, so it's really not as easy to perform critical analysis and say he was writing all this as a metaphor for his great humanitarian sympathies or something like that. So look for themes in the reading, and themes, as we'll define them, are plot elements which allow you to selectively, not selectively, subjectively interpret them. Everybody who reads a story will potentially encounter a theme and treat it differently. Some people will consider it to have zero impact on the story and zero influence. Others might notice a major detail that affects the entire plot. The themes in this reading all lend themselves to the critical approaches. You can apply literally any of the critical approaches to this reading. Next step is to develop a thesis statement about the story. It must be a claim. It can't just be a statement or an observation. It needs to be a claim, because what you are going to do throughout your paper is prove that claim. So you have to follow, for this paper and all the other ones in this class, the SAMI format that I posted up in that PowerPoint. Subject is already taken care of. You are going to be writing about Harrison Bergeron. Action is going to be critical analysis, so that one's taken care of as well. The method is going to be your choice of critical approach. You must clearly identify that. If I haven't already emphasized it enough, at the college level, thesis statements need to be exceptionally blunt and exceptionally specific, because otherwise teachers tend to play devil's advocate if you do not clearly state your intent, and that can lead to a massive loss of points. Finally, the intent is going to be the claim that you make about the reading and will subsequently prove in your paper with support from the text. So if we were going to develop a basic thesis statement, we would say something like, this paper will be a critical analysis of Harrison Bergeron applying the gender critical approach with the intent of proving that the character Harrison Bergeron, on demanding his empress, was engaging in very sexist and dominant masculine behavior. And then throughout the paper, our support will support that claim. So it can be something global and far-reaching that encompasses the whole reading, such as this story is an anti-fascist fable about the dangers of too much government overreach in our lives. Or it can focus on a very small detail, such as the character George on going and getting a beer is clearly an alcoholic, or something like that. Anything that you want to claim about this reading is fair game. The paper must be a minimum of 4 full pages with an additional works cited page listing the reading. I will provide a works cited entry for you. The paper must include an introduction and a conclusion of at least 1 paragraph each. You are not allowed to start this paper with a thesis statement and jump directly into your discussion. You need to develop a rapport with your audience, because as the author, it's your responsibility to demonstrate some authority. So introduce how or why reading the story led you to develop this claim. Thesis statement must be included in your introduction. Typically speaking, thesis statement should appear on the first page of your paper unless you have an exceptionally long or detailed introduction, but it's really for the benefit of your audience to make it clear very early on what your intent is. Once again, that does not give you license to start the paper with a thesis statement. You need to hit your audience over the head with your thesis statement, but you need to prepare them for it first. Grading on this paper, thesis statement is going to be worth 20% of the paper grade, must state and include all 4 components for full credit. The subject, action, method, and intent must be clearly indicated. It doesn't get any easier than this to get the points. Harrison Bergeron, critical analysis, your choice of critical approach, and what you are claiming and intend to prove. Spelling, punctuation, and grammar are 10% of the paper grade. Proofread those papers before you submit them. No more than 10% of the paper's final grade will be taken off, but if it's full of excessive errors, you will be required to correct it before a grade is provided. 15 or more errors throughout the paper are considered excessive. 50% of the paper's grade is content. The paper must include an introduction and a conclusion, both of at least a paragraph, and support for your claims, which means you may have to do direct quotations, you may have to paraphrase, you may have to summarize, but those should all be correctly formatted. The body paragraphs must contribute to an overall support of the thesis statement that you develop for your paper. They can't meander, they can't discuss or go off topic or anything like that. They should all relate to your thesis statement. Finally, your works cited page is worth 20% of the grade. Follow the formatting guidelines for works cited pages. The reason I haven't given them to you yet is that I want to see whether or not we already know them. If we already know it, I'm not going to waste your time by going into great detail over it. If everybody's uncomfortable with this, we will take a little time to go through that format. The paper will be graded upon submission based on when it's submitted. If you submit it at 1 o'clock in the morning, I will probably be asleep, so I won't be able to grade it till I get to my office hours the next day. But as soon as I grade it for you, I will unlock the module number 2 for you specifically. This is going to remain locked until your paper is submitted and graded, but you can move as quickly as you want through that content. For the purpose of this class, we are engaging in modules, and I am uploading content as quickly as possible. I do not keep anything that I create for previous classes. I always like to create stuff fresh. So that is why some of this content has been trickling out. I did mention to one person who inquired, I do have a bit of a technology embargo at the place where I work because they don't trust us to install our own software on our computers, so I have to work a little bit piecemeal. Despite that, I will get content